Joining us now is Evan Kraut of the Gray Group, an ad agency making moves into product development with its clients. Of course, we know a big day for Snap, but looking past today, what we want to know is what you make of Snap's appeal as an ad platform.
Yeah, so we've obviously been following Snapchat and working on the platform for years. It's been popular for, at least 5 years with our big brands. They've been testing the platform, making original content for it. My prediction is that Snap is going to really continue to exceed, not as a social media content publishing platform, but really more as an augmented reality company. And I think, given our focus and how we're going to really help our clients understand how to use the technology, we're looking more ahead a couple of years into that kind of technology.
Well, hasn't that been kind of part of the struggle in terms of them being able to sell ads, that people do find it and companies find it quite hard to be able to create the ads that would work with Snap's platform, because it's not like you can just take it and create it on your own. Like, you have to have this direct partnership, relationship with the company.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, with their Discover platform, they've really limited and hamstrung brands as to what they're allowed to do on the platform. A lot have sort of done their own things by just creating their own accounts and then hoping to garner, audiences. Snap's never really made it very easy for discovery other than their own curated Discover platform. So really, we think that they're going to start expanding that offering clearly to be able to keep up with, the valuation and the revenues that they're expected to achieve. But really, for the most part, I think that brands are looking at what's the next trick that Snapchat will be coming out with. I think with Spectacles just first getting onto people's heads, the product is now available to purchase directly versus how they initially just kind of leaked it out. And we think they'll advance that product considerably. They'll start making it into a real augmented reality device, and then you'll start seeing advertising happening in the real world around you, but through almost virtual augmented content. So imagine walking around the streets, instead of looking at an actual billboard, you're seeing a billboard, but through an augmented, visual. And that's really where I think they're going to be heading in terms of brands and advertising on the platform.
Tell us specifically why you think that. That's what we've been hearing in reports, but you're the first guest really to come on here and say that that is the future of the company. Is it based on conversations that you're having?
I think, we haven't spoken with Snapchat directly, and they're highly secretive, obviously. But where we see really the broader technology space going in this kind of, arena is completely into virtual and augmented reality from the standpoint of how brands are going to start engaging consumers through devices, right? So whereas it was desktop, now it's becoming mobile. Now it's like, why have to hold something in your hand when it could just be on your eyes, right? So we have Microsoft with HoloLens and Magic Leap, highly secretive but major multi-billion-dollar startup, coming out with technology that's going to enable this kind of content to just be automatically sent to your eye, or through voice activation with like the Amazon Echo platform and other kind of voice-enabled services. So we really think it's going to be the future device is going to be on your eyes, not in your hand. And so that's where all the content and the advertising is going to start moving.
I mean, we know that investors are really, really concerned when it comes to users growth. It's all you've been hearing about is Snap slowing user growth. Is this a particular metric that advertisers care about? Are they happy with their current 158 million daily users?
Yes, I think they're happy with 158 million users. If you're talking to a major brand and they're looking to reach an audience, that's a very significant audience. However, I think this is closer to where Facebook was when the teenage and younger millennial audience started to get a little fatigued with Facebook. And what happened? They started to advance the platform. They acquired, Instagram. They started to really build out feature sets that were appealing more to that generation. I think Snapchat has a lot of tricks up its sleeve. I think if there's a little bit of slowed growth, it's only momentary. And I think they will be able to, move it ahead with new products and new services and new offerings.
The big complaint among many ad buyers seems to be a lack of transparency. So not an entire full picture of the analytics, who's seeing this, how often they're seeing it, whether the ads are actually getting skipped over. So how is that relationship changing and evolving between Snap, the agencies, and the ad buyers themselves?
Yeah, they're going to have to get a lot more transparent. They're going to have to build better metrics into their platforms. I'm sure they are already working on that. The reality is, it's all the platforms, some better than others, but the transparency and the, attribution modeling that all the other social media platforms are offering are still a bit lackluster, to be quite honest. Obviously, Facebook's had a few years of a jump on that, working with big brands than Snapchat has, but they're going to catch up. I mean, it's like a leapfrog game these days.
They might catch up in terms of the metrics, but perhaps not in terms of their actual demographic. Facebook, in a way, started out a lot like Snap with that much younger demographic. They quickly decided, hey, that's not how we're going to be able to be successful long term. We've got to branch out, becoming much more ubiquitous Snap saying that's not the type of company we want to be, but eventually then your users are going to age out of the system. So what is going to be next for Snap?
Yeah, it's a great question. I would think that they'll start doing some acquisitions. I think they will, as a company, begin to broaden their demographics in terms of who uses the platform. You know, they've played it intentionally a little bit, cheeky in terms of purposefully making it confusing to use the product and keeping it in that younger, segment. I think obviously being in a public market now, they're going to have to open it up. But I do think that the whole entire paradigm is going to change. And so I think the conversation we're having today about user growth and all of that will be moot when the whole entire technology behind it will change. So rather than going to, Facebook on your mobile device as an app, you're going to be talking to it through a Bluetooth earbud in your ear and seeing it through a lens in your glass, and it's going to change the entire way that you're interacting. And so I don't know if the straight up user growth equation is even going to be relevant in a couple of years.
Who do you think it would make sense for Snap to buy, maybe specific companies or even just companies in certain industries as well? And do you think part of the push to go public, a lot of people questioning why was now the right time to go public? Did you see that they wanted to go public maybe because they feel like it will be easier to do acquisitions?
I would think so, yes. I think it's the private markets, you could keep growing a lot these days. I mean, Uber has, billion-dollar fundraisers consistently. I think that will start to get a bit more challenging. So yes, in terms of acquisition, I think in terms of hiring top talent, there's probably a lot of strategic reasons as to why they did that. In terms of who they should acquire, it's across the board, but I would say a lot of the virtual reality and augmented reality companies, whether they're the gaming companies and really bringing Snap into a whole nother paradigm there, really getting them more hardware capabilities so that they do become more of a technology company, almost the way Amazon is moving from an e-commerce site into, with their Kindle and with their Echo devices, really moving into the IoT and hardware space. So I think they're on that same trajectory, and yes, being a public company will help them get there.
Evan, when your clients come to you and they're trying to decide where should they be putting their advertising dollars, would they be better served on Instagram or would they be better served on Snap? What is your response to that?
That's a great question. The easy answer is to say they should be on both, because I think both have their own advantages.
Let's just say they don't have money for both. They can only pick one.
Dollar for dollar, I guess I'd have to lean towards Instagram today, but a bit more bullish on Snap in the longer run.
Why is that?
I just think they're going to really advance the platform into things that are so much more unique than what currently Facebook and Instagram offer.
Okay, but can Instagram just rip that off over and over and over and over again?
I don't think so. I think that Snapchat is probably working on technology that they won't be able to, meaning Instagram won't be able to just immediately rip it off. I think they're working on much more high-tech, longer, development cycle type things that even with the best engineers in the world will take them 6 months to a year, and at that point you've become irrelevant if you don't have that technology. So as long as you're, more than a couple of months ahead of the curve, you're enough ahead of the curve that you're, the more relevant option.
Another trend that we've been seeing among these ad buyers is a demand, or a call rather, for a third party, an independent third party, to basically fact check some of these analytics that are coming out of the company. Of course, we've seen people call for Facebook to do this, Google to do this as well. How important do you think that is, and do you think that is something that we see more of for this company?
Absolutely. It's completely critical. It's happening. Every single brand has either their own agencies doing, the analytics and metrics in addition to those platforms, what they're providing. They're using things like Nielsen. They're all going to be essentially audited by multiple tools and technologies that are, outside those companies. So yes, that will force the transparency.
Evan Kraut of the Gray Group, a great interview. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much.